Hello everybody, my name is Starrapter and welcome to the channel. 2025 looks like to be a very promising year in video games, and in this video I'm going to be breaking down the 10 games I'm most excited for in 2025. From RPGs to shooters to everything in between, there's so much to look forward to. We're going to be breaking these things down from a release date. Some of these games have gameplay and a release date. Some of these games just have a cinematic and a broad 2025 timeline. So we're going to go through in chronological order, but before we do, if you are a fan of video games, Star Wars and more, then hey, you're in the right place. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel. That's the way you can support me here on this channel. So right around the corner, our first game is Avowed, and this one is from Obsidian Entertainment. It releases on February 18th. So Obsidian Entertainment, these guys don't miss, whether it be Grounded, Pentiment, The Outer Worlds, Fallout, New Vegas. These guys are high esteemed in the video game culture, and what makes this one stand out is this is their take on the fantasy medieval RPG, and they have already delved into this same lore, and that's with their Pillars of Eternity games, their top-down strategy RPG games. This is in the same world as that, and this is in Aora, in the Living Lands, and you're playing as a character, a godlike creature that is able to go around and have to solve this dream scourge. And basically the gameplay mechanics, which are very, very enticing for me, is you have companions, which are always fun. They control them in combat, but your character really has no bounds when it comes to the creation of, hey, if you want to be a person that is, dual wielding guns, you can do that. If you want to be a person that has a wand and a shield, you could do that. If you just want to be your stereotypical barbarian and just have a two-handed axe and go whomping around on these guys, you could do that. So I love being a good fantasy RPG that I can really sink my teeth into with a lot of lore. So this looks to be right up my alley. Next up, we have on March 8th, Split Fiction by Hazelight Studios. So this studio, Joseph Fares, has been doing phenomenal work ever since Brother Tale of Two Souls or whatever. And then they have A Way Out, which is the Prison Break co-op game. And then they had their award-winning game of the year, It Takes Two, which me and my girlfriend are currently playing through right now. These games, all these games are co-op games, including Split Fiction. And what's so nice about them is you can play them online. They're really even more enjoyable with co-op, having that split screen co-op and being able to see what your partner is doing. And then you're going to go ahead and you're going to have some arguments from here on there. There might be some frustrations, but that's part of the charm. There's no other games that really do that right now. With this game, it's specifically diving into these two co-workers. One's working on fantasy, one's working on sci-fi books, and their worlds collide, so it's a lot more realistic. There's medieval stuff in there. There's a lot of gunslinging, it looks like, and just really crazy over-the-top things that just constantly switch the genre of your game that you're playing, whether it be looks like side-scrolling or third person flying on a dragon. There's so much variety, and that's why I love these games so much. Next up on March 20th, speaking of variety, we have Assassin's Creed Shadows, and this is a game series that I have long loved, and it's going back to the first Assassin's Creed game. And even just last year, I finished 3 Assassin's Creed games, guys. I finally finished Valhalla, I finished Mirage, which was fun, and then I finished Nexus on the Oculus Quest or Meta Quest. This game is what fans, I feel like, have been wanting the most out of an Assassin's Creed game, and that is to finally go into feudal Japan. So you get to play as, I believe her name is Neo or something. She's a shinobi or a ninja, and you also have Yasuke, who is a black samurai. So you get these characters, they're kind of in this area, I think in the 1500s, so you have that, you have the other people from around the world that have already inhabited that area, I believe, such as the Portuguese. So I believe there's the introduction of maybe like gunpowder muskets, so we're that far into the timeline of the history of Japan. But it looks really cool because you got the shinobi for the stealth, and it's using like light sources such as like from Splinter Cell. You knock out the lights, you can get a little bit more darkness to sneak up on your opponents. But then you also have the complete opposite playing field with the samurai, who is able to overpower his foes, who's able to break the armor on his foes and take these guys down. So, and this is all encompassed around a huge story that's going to weave in and out through the different regions of Japan. So I'm really excited for this one for sure. Next up, from Xbox first party, we have South of Midnight from Compulsion Games. This one's out on April 8th, and this looks like to be a very refreshing, well-needed addition to the portfolio of Xbox. This is an action adventure platformer in the vein of Kena Bridge of Spirits, it looks like a lot. But this is centered around a black female protagonist in the Deep South. A lot of kind of fantasy elements where she is having to battle all these tall-tailed creatures, from giant alligators and different birds and different creatures in this kind of folk tale sort of thing, gothic-y kind of Deep South thing. And it looks really original because all those words I've just said, I don't think there's any video game that I've played or heard of that has actually delved into any of that, despite even All at Once. And what really is nice about this is it looks really cool, eye-poppingly right away with the stop motion animation. You could leave that on, or you can turn it off in the settings for gameplay, but I think it does make the game look very unique because there's nothing quite like it out there, and the cutscenes are rendered in that same stop motion animation type way. But this game, the developers, a compulsion, have put a lot of work into the songs, and being able to have songs that kind of coordinate with what your character is doing at the very time, with boss battles, giving you lore, all this stuff. So this looks like, again, something that is different enough for Xbox that goes, hey, we have those kind of games too. So I'm looking forward to that. Next up, on April 24th, this is from a brand new studio out there in France called Sandfall Interactive, and this one is called Clair Obscura Expedition 33. This is a game that I normally wouldn't really care about because I'm not a huge fan of JRPG games. And even though this is a Western developed RPG, this studio has cited that their big inspiration is from the JRPGs of the past. So rather than it being just a straight up turn-based type of game, what drew me into this one is their flipping of the switch when it comes to the norm, when it comes to JRPG or turn-based. This actually has you defending and able to interact with the opponent even on their turn. So if you're more of an action-based kind of gamer, you might actually enjoy this for a change, because it looks like you do have pull on what happens with your characters, rather than just, you know, stand there getting hit by the enemy on your turn that's not happening. So I'm looking forward to this one. They have a huge cast, and the art style looks really cool. It reminds me of like James and the Giant Peach, if you remember that from back in the day there. Next up, from Xbox Publishing, from id Software, May 15th, Doom: The Dark Ages. I mean, what can I say about this game? This game looks freaking amazing. I love Doom 26, I love Doom Eternal, and this one amps it a little bit up higher, because now we go even back in the timeline to medieval ages. You get the Doom Slayer, looking like he's a knight, right? He's got that fur cape, but he's got that shield. That's a big mechanical element. The shield is able to deflect projectiles, able to finish people off. You also have different kind of melee weapons, like a flail and whatnot. You got the actual projectile weapons, which are really sweet too, such as a bone-crushing machine gun. You insert the skulls, and it shoots the shards of the bone of the skulls at the enemies and wipes them out. Plus, you get to ride in giant mechanical mechs and dragons shooting machine gun. I mean, come on, guys, what can you not love? Plus, these open zones are the first in a Doom game. Not open world, but you can actually explore a little bit. But yeah, I mean, my love for the Doom series goes back to, I think, when I was 5 or 6 playing this in my dad's computer room, going, oh yeah, this is cool, this is cool. Looking back, I'm like, you know, maybe that wasn't the best thing to be playing as a kid with all the gore, but hey, you got it. The game is awesome, and I'm looking forward to that one. Next up, these 4 games do not have dates at all, so we're going to just go through them in any order. And that is, first of all, The Outer Worlds 2 by Obsidian. Yes, a second Obsidian game coming out in 2025. And I haven't really spent a lot of time with The Outer Worlds, but I do enjoy how unique it feels with its charm, with its witty humor. It just feels refreshed. And, you know, while Avowed is that medieval take on an RPG, this is definitely more of that Fallout / sci-fi vibe, which could also be really fun to switch things up this year. Next up, another really funny game from Playground Games is the long-awaited Fable game. I'm a huge fan of Fable, guys. Going back to the original Xbox, playing that game was groundbreaking, because it was one of the first games next to the Knights of the Old Republic that let you choose good or bad decisions that actually affected the appearance of your characters. If you did a lot of bad stuff, your guy would start to get flies around this character. He would start to have horns growing out of his head. If you're really good, you got this like kind of sheen to your skin and a halo, and everybody respected you as a noble person. And you know, this is a game that's being made by the creators that that no longer exist. Basically, Lionhead Studios has been shuttered, so Playground Games, which is a completely crazy pick for a studio because these are the guys that make freaking racing games. So I'm really curious to see how the makers of the great games Forza Horizon series does with an action open world RPG of this sort. So looking forward to that one. Next up, Ninja Gaiden 4 from Team Ninja and Platinum, working on this one, published by Xbox. I mean, this is a game out of left field. We haven't heard about Ninja Gaiden in years. My experience with Ninja Gaiden was way back on the original Xbox. I remember it as being one of the most difficult games I had ever played. And since then, we've gotten this big push for the Dark Souls kind of games with a lot of parry and dodge. But you got to give it to the OGs. This was the OG hard game in the modern gaming era. And to see this, especially now that they released Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, getting to dive into that a little bit and seeing the promise of what a next-gen Ninja Gaiden 4 worked on from the ground up could look like. Just looking at this footage, looking at this trailer, this looks really promising as well. And last but not least, we have Grand Theft Auto 6 from Rockstar Games. This is a game of the century, guys. Remember, last time GTA 5 came out was over 10 years ago. I was back in college still, guys, at the time. This game has been so long awaited. We've seen on the charts every month for years that GTA 5 was on the top of the charts for selling. People love online. There is more pressure on this game than I think any game in the last decade, because people that aren't even gamers, guys, know about Grand Theft Auto 5. If somebody goes to a game store, they're buying an Xbox, chances are they're gonna ask for, oh, do you have Grand Theft Auto as their first game? Like, this is how big Grand Theft Auto is. It is bigger than any other entertainment release ever. Like, this game sells billions of dollars, more than the record industry, more than the movie industry. The video game industry is fronted by Rockstar Games as its biggest thing, right? So there's so much riding on this. The fact that it's in Florida, it's a return of that Vice City. There's not even any gameplay. We still are only going off of a trailer we've seen over a year ago, but it's got that tone piece that really sets up the standard for what we can expect. It's, you know, all these funny Florida tropes that are in that trailer. What new additions can they make? I still think like Grand Theft Auto 5 is one of my favorite games of all time. Having the 3 protagonists and just the craziness of that adventure and just the open world, just even 10 years ago, was way ahead of its time. Like, Rockstar, last game they made was Red Dead Redemption 2, and that's also one of my favorite games. Again, this studio doesn't really ever miss, so I hope they had enough time to work on this game. If they needed to delay, keep pushing it until it's ready, because they can't pull off a Cyberpunk 2077 on this one. This thing has to be good when it comes out. So there you are, guys. Those are the games I'm looking forward to the most in 2025. And I know I'm recording this in February. Chances are, you know, we're going to get PlayStation State of Plays. We're going to get, you know, the Nintendo Direct for Nintendo Switch 2. We're going to get the Xbox Showcase in June, which will surely announce brand new games for this same year that we don't even know about yet. So this is just a preliminary check. But come on, check on back on the channel. See what I have to say about some of these games after I play them, because I definitely will have thoughts on them. But for that, let me know your comments in the section, your games in the comment section down below. What games are you looking forward to the most? I'd love to hear them and chat about them. But until next time, thank you for watching, and bye-bye.